Imagine this. You're standing in an art gallery, staring at a masterpiece. The colours swirl. The depth mesmerises you. But you can't explain any of it. All you can say is, it looks nice. In that moment, your experience shrinks. Not because the art is small, but because of your vocabulary. By the end of this video, you'll understand why expanding your vocabulary isn't about sounding smart. It's about thinking smart. It's about building the mental architecture that shapes how you perceive, feel, decide, and evolve. Because here's the truth. If you can't say it, you can't shape it. Because today we're diving into something foundational, yet massively underrated. Vocabulary, language, the words you use every day, and how they shape your entire reality. This isn't an English lesson. This is a mindset episode, a performance episode, a psychology and identity episode. Your vocabulary is a mirror for your thinking. Develop it and everything improves. Because your vocabulary is the architecture of your thoughts. If you're building a house and only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But with a range of precise tools, you can design something complex, refined, high quality. Language works the same way. A limited vocabulary creates limited thoughts. A rich vocabulary creates rich, structured, intelligent thoughts. It's not about IQ, it's about cognitive possibility. The famous linguistic idea says, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world. If your vocabulary is basic, your perception is basic. You see fewer distinctions, fewer nuances, fewer patterns. Let's explore this with some simple examples. It's not just red, it's scarlet, crimson, ruby, burgundy. It's not just a cell, it's a mitochondria. It's not just a footballer, it's a central midfielder or a false nine, a box-to-box midfielder. You're not just happy, you're ecstatic, content, fulfilled, serene, euphoric. When your vocabulary becomes more precise, your perception becomes more detailed. And when your perception expands, so does intelligence. Here's one of the most famous demonstrations of how vocabulary expands perception. The Inuits and Eskimos have multiple different words for snow, not because they're trying to sound clever, but because their environment requires precise perception. They have words for falling snow, hard packed snow, melting snow, drifting snow, snow you can build with, snow you can track animals in. Each variation of snow has different implications for travel, safety, hunting and survival. And here's the key. They perceive differences because they can articulate differences. Their vocabulary doesn't just describe the world, it shapes how they experience it. And this applies to you too. If you only have one word for something, your understanding stays one-dimensional. Give yourself more words and your brain gains more categories, more precision, more nuance and more intelligence. Vocabulary is differentiation, and differentiation is clarity. You cannot regulate emotions you cannot describe. A child says, I'm angry, I'm sad. That's it. But an emotional, intelligent person, an adult maybe, who has more refined vocabulary, might say they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they're disappointed, they're anxious, they're tense, they're insecure, they're uneasy. Each of these emotions are different, and each requires a different solution. Low vocabulary, low emotional intelligence. High vocabulary, high emotional intelligence. Your words give your emotion control. When you describe yourself, you are not just communicating, you are reinforcing identity. If your self-description is vague, I'm okay, I'm stressed, I'm busy, your self-concept also becomes vague. But with precise language, I'm disciplined, I'm ambitious, I'm creative, I'm introspective, I'm resilient, I'm driven. You strengthen your identity through articulation. You become what you repeatedly describe. Identity is linguistic. People with poor vocabulary think in binaries. This is good, this is bad. but high performers think in nuance. This habit is productive short-term but damaging long-term. This opportunity is risky but transformative. This relationship is supportive but stagnant. This strategy is effective but slow. Precision of language creates precision of thought. Precision of thought creates precision of action. Vocabulary is strategic clarity. Because let's be honest, modern society is destroying vocab. Text slang, one-word replies, emojis replacing sentences, voice notes replacing articulation, autocorrect doing the thinking for us, TikTok shrinking attention spans. We've replaced depth with speed. But here's the danger. When language diminishes, thought diminishes. When thought diminishes, identity diminishes. While the world is shrinking vocabulary, this is your opportunity to expand it and separate yourself cognitively. Most people are thinking in 240 character tweets. You can think in frameworks, distinctions, and high resolution ideas. You cannot build anything you cannot describe. You cannot create a vision without clear language. You cannot communicate a dream without articulation. You cannot lead without clarity. You cannot inspire without precision. Vague words create vague lives. Precise words create precise outcomes. If you can't describe what you want, you'll never achieve it. In career, people might say, I want to work in business. It's vague. What kind of business? Finance, consulting, marketing, sales, startups, strategy, operations. The more precise the vocab, the clearer the path, the more distinction you can create. Politics. Oh, this guy's really good. He thinks differently. Tells you nothing really. Is he right wing, left wing, libertarian, populist? Now we're talking distinctions, analysis and understanding. Vocabulary transforms noise into structure. In relationships, someone might say, I'm unhappy, but provides no solution, does it? Instead of, I feel disconnected, misunderstood, unsupported, unappreciated. Now you can specify exactly what it is, you can fix it. Language creates solutions. Silence creates resentment. Every new word builds a new neural category. This is called cognitive categorisation. More words is more mental categories. More categories is deeper perception, and deeper perception is higher intelligence. Vocabulary is literally neural growth. This is cognitive training, mental bodybuilding. So how do we expand our vocabulary? Not by just memorising lists, not by forcing difficult words, but through natural immersion. Maybe we read quality books, philosophy, psychology, literature, whatever. We look up a new word a day. We journal with precision. We speak more specifically. We consume long-form content. We stay curious. Pursue every word that intrigues you. Vocabulary grows through exposure, not pressure. Because your vocabulary is the foundation of your thinking. It determines depth, clarity, intelligence, emotional control, identity, perception. Most people speak vaguely, and because they speak vaguely, they think and live vaguely. You're different. You're building a sharper mind, a richer emotional world, a clearer identity, and a more powerful future. You're doing that through the simple act of expanding your vocabulary. Because ultimately, if you can't say it, you can't shape it. If you can't articulate it, you can't become it. If you can't describe your future, you'll never design it. Upgrade your vocabulary, upgrade your mind, upgrade your life. Because specificity is a perfect communicator. Instead of saying, oh, did you see that punch from a boxer? Was it a left hook, a right hook, an overhand, a stiff jab? You can see now that with that description, you can now narrow down exactly what that person meant. And whether we're describing something to someone else or even ourselves, the more distinctions and the more precise, the better, because it helps us solve problems and create solutions. So how can you start improving your vocabulary in order to communicate better to the world, but also with yourself? This episode is brought to you by Strong Coffee Company. Protein-packed coffee for energy and clarity. Use code Vancrux1 for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com. And More Labs, clinically proven hydration and recovery drinks. Visit morelabs.com and use code Vancrux1 for 25% off. And finally, Liquor Gummies, electrolytes and vitamins for hangover prevention and recovery. Use code Vancrux1 for 20% off at liquor.com. That's liqure.com.